All right. Welcome, everybody, to Feelings with the Geekiary, the DragonCon 2015 edition. This is kind of a last-minute thing, so we haven't really done a bunch of planning or anything, but welcome to Feelings. I'm Tara. I've got Bekah here. She writes for the website, and we also have Stephanie and Eve with us. Welcome, guys.
Friendly reminder that this is also a podcast, so please subscribe to us on iTunes so you don't miss any of our feelings. And if you're listening to this as a podcast, please remember that this is recorded live, so we're not exactly sure what's going to happen. So forgive us any technical difficulties or accidental swears.
And never accidental.
Oh. You can join in the conversation with hashtag Geekiary Feelings. I mean, come on. How will we know if we're wrong if you don't tell us?
And as always, our fun disclaimer, we would like to remind all of you that the views expressed on this webcast are those of the hosts and guests as individuals and do not necessarily represent the Geekiary or the webcast itself as a whole. Real quick, our monthly episode of Feelings will air this coming Thursday, September 24th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, so don't forget to tune in. And now, since I'm a regular on here, I'm going to let you all introduce yourselves. Bekah.
Hi, I'm Bekah. I write for the Geekiary. I've been there for a few months now, and this past DragonCon was actually my first DragonCon. I'm super new to conventions as a whole. I got into it with Tara, and I'm really, really excited to be here tonight and excited to talk all manner of deviations.
And Stephanie, where do you tell about your cosplay page and all that fun stuff?
Okay, well, I am Stephanie Lynn. I am a avid cosplayer. I've been doing it for about, I don't even know how long now. I am the Makeup Mama on Facebook, www.facebook.com/themakeupmamacosplay, and I've been going to DragonCon. I think this was my 5th DragonCon, but I've been going to cons forever. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's kind of how I am. It was my 4th DragonCon, but I was going to conventions long before that. So, and Eve, what about you?
I am the founder of Some Nerd Girl. Some Nerd Girl WordPress is where we have our blog. We just put it up. It's awesome. We talk about nerdy things and girly things. 5th year for DragonCon for me. It was my first DragonCon, my first con, really, at DragonCon, and I have not been able to stop going, so I'm a little addicted. I don't foresee the trend stopping either.
Yeah, like I keep telling myself I'm going to cut back on the number of conventions I go to every year, and every year that's like a big joke.
And now I feel like that now that I'm starting to go to conventions, it's going to be...
Yeah. This DragonCon was Bekah's first convention as press, too.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, but like Conugo was my first one, and I've been to a couple since then, but DragonCon, like, tops all of them.
Yeah.
Sure. I go through phases. I'm like, I don't think I'll go next year. It's kind of expensive, and no, I really want to go. And right after the con, I'm like, I have to go. I'll buy the tickets and the hotel, and it's all done. Yeah. I've made up my mind for the next year.
Yeah, the hotel this year honestly was like a big. It was a big thing for the idea of me going next year because they grandfathered in people who stayed at the Hyatt.
That's how they get you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and
we're giving you a little taste.
Come here, little children. We'll put you up.
Yeah. And we'll actually get into that a little bit more later, I think. First, since now we've all introduced ourselves, I want to talk about the not so great things about DragonCon first. I only have a couple. I really overall love the convention, but there's always some things that people want to bitch about, I think. Do you guys have any DragonCon cons that you want to share?
I do.
Uh-oh.
As a cosplayer, I think it's really difficult because you are walking through and you're in your costumes and you make these elaborate costumes and you work so hard on them, and you do get stopped quite frequently for your pictures, which is fantastic and it's wonderful to get recognition for it. But I feel that there is no respect for the costumes sometimes, because I've had people come up to me and touch my costumes or touch my wig, or I had one instance where I was in Black Widow and someone grabbed my hair, my natural hair, thinking it was a wig.
Oh no!
And I was
my God.
no, this is my hair color. This is my actual hair color. that's one of my only, I mean, that doesn't happen to everyone. Also, I think that as a not as known cosplayer, you get kind of shafted a little bit because everybody wants to see the bigger cosplayers. So
I mean, can we? Yeah. Were you in the Pulse Bar with us on Sunday night when the Yaya Sisterhood showed up?
yeah.
And it was literally
my
just like
God.
24 girls dressed up
No,
like Yaya.
there were also a couple of guys too that had the wig on.
Oh,
I
were
saw
there?
later.
Alright.
Oh yeah,
Alright.
yeah.
Good for them. Yeah, that was interesting.
That's I think one of the only cons, and the biggest con about this con is the hotels.
Oh God.
Hotel, it is the worst thing about this con. It's expensive. Everything is expensive at the con. So if you don't do it properly, you're blowing thousands of dollars just on random stuff. So I think that's the one thing that I have issues with the con itself, and it has made it hard for me to go. In the past, including this year, made it very hard for me to go.
One of the things I want to talk about, have any of y'all used Froggy's photos?
Yes.
Because this was my first year. Have you used them before, Eve?
No.
This was my first year doing it, and I only did it because I wanted the photo with the 7 Battlestar people.
I did it too.
And she did it with Richard Harmon.
Yeah.
To be honest, like, it wasn't the worst thing I've ever experienced, but it was a mess. Like, how it's literally like they crowd you into this room and they put you in these
no air conditioning, basically.
There's no, I mean, there's air conditioning, but there's no like air circulation, so it just doesn't. And like they put you like cattle in
like
these
little, like,
narrow lanes that, like, to be honest,
they're taped on the floor.
Yeah, so there's no walls or anything. There's just these tape on the floor, and you're in these narrow lanes. You're crowded in with a bunch of people. Come on Sunday, which is when I did it, most everybody smelled.
Yeah.
And I was just standing there, and I'm like, I'm a pretty like slim person, you know. I don't take up a lot of room, but I was wearing Starbuck, and I had the big holsters and the guns on my legs. And oh my God, like being in that little tight lane, every time I turned around, I was brushing into somebody.
Well,
I purposely avoided the line situation for at least the big popular photo shoots. First of all, depending on what you want to do at Dragon Con is where your cons come from. So my line issue is with the panels. Like, it's not necessarily cramped or anything, but it's unorganized, and it's really disheartening because
I feel like it gets worse every year.
It waver. It really depends on who it is too, and that's the problem. Is the volunteer people that go there every year and give their time. That's awesome. They're just not aligned. They're not doing things the same way, and so it creates this confusion. And the people that go for 5 years in a row, we kind of remember how it happened last year when you change it up. It's frustrating, and when people don't get into panels, it's frustrating. And the fact that they will squeeze you in those lines, and the whole picture taking thing is weird to me, because you get like 5 seconds with the people, you take a picture, and it feels very like conveyor belts, kind of demeaning in a little bit of a way.
I mean, and the atrium, the Marriott atrium, like that ballroom, oh my God, the line situation for that it's a mess every year. And like you said, it's like people aren't on the same page. It's not the volunteers' fault. It's really not. They're doing the best they can, like, and I totally respect what they do, because I don't know.
This is the first year I actually cracked open the little like rules pamphlet that they give you, and I'm like, let me read the official line policy so I can school some people. I didn't, but it basically says, line up after the previous panel has been seated or an hour before, and everyone forgets that first part. They are hardline hour before, despite the fact there's like 500 people clogging up the atrium trying to get in line.
The hardest thing about the lines for me is that, like, I did Froggies with my daughter one year, and it was to see Bowerman, and I had her holsters and a stroller, because they want the kids in the stroller, because they think, oh, okay, this is easier, blah, 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 blah. But it was torture. I mean, it was absolute torture. And I actually, because of my daughter, we stayed with Bowerman for overtime, and because he wanted us to stay there and do multiple pictures that he wanted. But if I didn't, I had help. I had 2 people helping me at the time. I had, help me with my daughter and helping me with all my stuff. But if I didn't have that, there was no way I would have been able to do it by myself. So the problem with the lines is, and this happened with Brian Humphreys, if you get your photo done by Brian, who's fantastic, he does great photos, he was the official photographer for Dragon, his line got screwed over. Like, he would tape it, people would cut, people would do this, people would do that, and finally got to the point that people that know Brian and know the people that work with him were basically just like, this is not fair. This is not fair for the people who spent the money, because it's not cheap to get a photo pass, and people just cut. So, and a lot of costumes are heavy, they're uncomfortable, they're hot, they're, you basically are in this costume for the fact that you want to show it off. But unfortunately, the volunteers get a lot of the crap, but it's not their fault. It's what they're being told what to do.
It's really not. And I can't imagine DragonCon doesn't make enough money to invest in some Toyota consultant to come in and tell them how to do lines, because, that's really what it comes down to, is just organization.
Yeah, and again, it's definitely about the volunteers not all being not being all on the same page. I know. Also, by side note, didn't Brian Humphrey have one of his cameras stolen?
Brian had a camera stolen the last day of the con,
and
we did a Kickstarter, and I mean, people obviously were very pissed off, and
right.
He had actually spoken to him about it, and he said that it bothered him more so because it's just such a lack of disrespect, but it wasn't about the camera. It was just about the fact that he's been there for so many years. And
well, I mean, and it's also one of the things I saw him say was that it was about the cosplayers who won't get their pictures.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were on that, they were on the memory card on that camera, and that was what really, I saw that they did the Kickstarter and they blew it out of the water. He will get that camera back. That's awesome. I mean, if there's one thing I can say about DragonCon, it's that it's really, as big as it really is like a family.
Yeah.
That it just sucks, all those pictures that got lost and everything. I don't even understand why at a convention of all places you'd steal somebody's camera, especially his.
So people. I mean, there's stuff that's constantly stolen. I mean, it's so many people, and you're jam packed, and it's my major con every year. It's the one that I blow out of the water and I do the most for. But I stay in the Marriott every year, which is torture because of the freaking elevator situation.
That's self-inflicted
so
torture.
I take the
right
stairs. I don't care what floor I'm on. I mean, I will take the stairs. I mean, I took the stairs to the 12th floor every day, every single time, every costume change. In every costume, I was Jessica Rabbit in 7.5-inch heels, and I walked the stairs. You do what you have to do in the Marriott.
I've been on 3rd floor Hyatt, 6th floor Hyatt, and 8th floor Hyatt, and I've always the only time I take the elevator is checking in and checking out. And even checking out, I brought bags this year, messenger bags and double bags.
You're
and stuff.
the bag lady going up and down the stairs.
The only thing I needed the elevator for was my cooler.
Yeah.
And that getting out on Monday morning, ugh. But another thing I want to talk about, because they've actually, supposedly this is changing for next year, we did nothing but complain about the Sheraton this year.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. You guys.
Did you guys stay at the Sheraton?
No, we did not. Okay, here's the thing. Okay, I've been quiet. Right?
Yeah.
I talk. Okay. So my first DragonCon, right? And they're like, all right, well, our passes are at the Sheraton. I was like, all right, whatever. So the Sheraton is also home of DragonCon Disability Services, and it's down a hill, but it's the furthest con away, and nothing happens there that I know of that I would.
It's called Trek.
Trek.
It's Trek.
Yeah.
And Heroes and Villains Ball.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if you want to do the Trek, you're probably okay. Well, yeah. So if you're gonna do the Trek, you're probably gonna stay at the Sheraton, because but I didn't have a badge at the Sheraton. I had a badge at the Hyatt because I was pressed. I picked up my badge there. But I walked with these guys, and it's a nightmare. It's 1,000 degrees in Atlanta in the summer. Not really. It's more 95, but that's still 1,000 degrees. And
it's
so
hot.
it is hot. It's extremely hot. So I was just sweating. I was sweating like crazy, and I'm not the best in shape person. And but Tara's super in shape, and I know that she was feeling the pain because it's brutal.
It's mostly just walking back up that hill.
Yeah, walking back up the hill.
I have bad knees, so really bad.
Well,
and that was my problem. I had to get my press pass after the fact, and then go back to disability services.
So if you have a disability, if you have something that prevents you from, and
if you're professional guest, or if you're an eternal member, your pass pickup is in the Hyatt or the Marriott.
The one that's down.
So the easy version.
Yeah, but then if you have to go to disability services, you have to go to the Sheridan.
It does
But
seem a little backwards.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, they should have disability services in the Hyatt or the Marriott was kind of my point. But supposedly next year, badge pickup is going to be at the Hilton. Oh,
I can't imagine what that's going to be like, though, because I don't. That's probably the least spacious hotel out of all of them.
Yeah. Well, I guess they're
But
moving. They're moving
Not they do
gaming.
downstairs.
So
The
I'm
Hilton
wondering.
downstairs.
Oh, downstairs.
In the basement of the
Yeah.
Hilton, they have like the pods and the gaming and stuff, and where they do the blood drive. This year they did it. If they do it down there, you're fine because it's huge. It's a
That's
gigantic-
true.
Oh yeah, and they're moving gaming next year too. Where are they putting it? We don't know yet, but the rumor is America's Mart. Did you see that? I saw that on Reddit, I think.
Yeah, I mean, Dragon Con is so many people. I mean, this year it hit 70,000 on Saturday.
Holy cow.
And I think my biggest complaint about this year was the parade route because they did a new parade route. They're thinking, oh, this would be great. You'll still be able to get to your hotels. No, you cannot get to any hotel. You basically are stuck in your hotel until the end of the parade.
I don't know what they can do about that, though. And honestly, I'm glad that they're changing things up. Like, they're trying new things. It's been like this is like their 26th or 27th year of Dragon Con.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there's been a lot of stagnation and a lot of complaints about that. And I think since they reorged, it's been a lot better with them experimenting with new things, which is good. But
it's mostly just
experimentation comes failure.
Well, yeah, and I mean, to be honest, like, the streets, the sidewalks, especially with all those effing planters that they randomly put all over the place.
Yeah,
between last
thanks,
year and this
Atlanta.
year.
Thanks for nothing.
Yeah, thanks, Atlanta.
They exist only for Dragon Con.
Can we get like a thanks Obama? But it's for Dragon
Yes.
Con, so it's like
Yes.
thanks Atlanta. I think
Everything that goes
Oh,
from
you want
thanks,
green
Atlanta.
space in your city? Why? Just
thanks
kidding.
Atlanta.
I can do that on the meme thing.
Oh no, did we lose Stephanie?
I don't know. She's there. I don't know.
Yeah, she lost her screen.
Oh.
But yeah, no, it's Stephanie had to. Oh, you're back! Yay!
I am, but I have to bounce because I got 2 kids I got to go put to bed for school tomorrow.
Oh,
all right.
Let me just say my final thing about Dragon.
Yeah, go.
Yeah, say what you
I
like.
love this con. It's a great con. It's a fun con. I don't feel it's a family-oriented con. I feel that people believe it is, but it's not. But it is a great con to get pictures done. It is the biggest costuming con on the East Coast. And, you know, my only complaint I had this year about the con itself was that they closed the celebrity rooms at 7, which last year it was 8. So a lot of people who don't do Froggy, like I don't do Froggy, I would go to get my picture taken, and it was closed. So that was my only issue with this year. That was the only thing I didn't get to do this year that I was very upset about. But other than that, it was a really fun year. I got to spend time with people. It was very, very crowded, but like Saturday night, I sat. Like I found a seat and I actually got to sit, which was unheard of, especially in Pulse Bar. So, I mean, I think this year was a good year. I think the Dragon does have a lot that they need to work on, but I think it's also because there has been a lot of changes that they're making. And if they can get their hotel situation figured out and figure out a way of, like, making it fair and stop using Passkey, because Passkey always shuts down, then I think it would be okay. But
I think
other than that,
for a few of them,
you know, other than that, I didn't really have any complaints. I had a great time. I was surrounded by fantastic people. Tara, obviously, because there's Tara and Bekah are my babies. My babies. So,
I'm upset you missed our Sunday. You did too. We had like a Sunday night concert on our balcony at the Hyatt.
What? I heard about
we
it.
did like the four. We did like the 4 chord songs, like all the things all the songs.
Was that whenever? That's when Danny and I were chasing around Richard Harmon in the Pulse Bar.
I heard that. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for having me. I'm sorry I have to bounce.
Oh, no problem.
Bye.
Anyway, real quick, like, I'll segue into like the positives, because like we were talking about the Sheridan and disability services, and it sucks that it's in the Sheridan, because I did that hike once with my friends because I was with a bunch of people who were new to the convention who needed to pick up passes. They'd never been before.
Was that me and Ethan on them?
Yeah. So that was bad like the first time, but then when I had to actually like because you can't go to disability services until you have your badge. So I had to wait because the press badge pickup doesn't happen until a couple hours after regular pickup. So I had to go back up to the Hyatt, pick up my badge, and then I didn't even get down to Sheridan until the next morning. But God, that walk is hell. So I really hope they put it in the Hilton next year, as long as the Hilton can handle the crowds. I know people are worried about it, but I've never been down in the gaming area, so I can't really
I haven't
say
either.
anything.
Yeah, my first year downtown, I was at the Days Inn, which is like by the Waffle House. It's like a landmark. And I'm a Florida girl, you know, everything's pretty flat here. And so I was like 6 blocks away from the host hotels, no problem.
No problem.
It'd be great. So we're so close. We were at the airport last year, and I learned that the hard way.
Well, the first year I was there, it was the same exact way. I was at the Holiday Inn Express behind the Westin, and like nothing I cared about that year was in the Westin. So it was like everything I wanted to go to was at the Hyatt or the Marriott, and I didn't go to disability services that year. And by the second day, I could hardly walk.
Yeah, luckily I rocked the combat boots pretty much the entire convention, and they're like tactical, so they're not like the jungle boots I had the first year, which was a terrible mistake. But yeah, it was like almost like a sober test if I could get back to hotel, like because it was all uphill.
The stairs were my sober test.
I would probably be sober even if I was drunk when I started. By the time I got to the actual hotel, so yeah, the Sheraton like respectively seems not that bad. I like do the shortcut. I go out the back of the Marriott, and then it's like a few blocks down, but it's still a pain in the ass. And they don't let you line up inside. You have to line up outside. You know, they have those snakes of I don't know, the velvet ropes.
Yeah, we hit it at an odd time this year where when I went with them to go pick up their badges, what time was it, like noon?
I
think it was like 11:30 or noon.
Pretty early.
There was
Like,
nobody.
there were like
what day?
2 or 3 people
Thursday.
deep.
Oh yeah.
There was like nobody there.
It was 11:30 or noon, and we walked like right in. Whereas previous years, I've gone at like 1 o'clock or something, and by then, you're waiting an hour. Like, and most of it's outside.
I have had all of the experiences. I've had wrapped around the building twice. I've had walk right up and everything in between. But we all put up with it. It's like childbirth. You know, people who have multiple kids. They just like
For me, it's mostly the walk. It's the walk to the Sheraton that gets me, and the walk, or even more so the walk back because it's all uphill. Because
I'm a sweater too. Like I sometimes plan my activities about how much I want to sweat that day.
No, oh my gosh! Friday night though, I was wearing was it Friday? No, it was Thursday night. Thursday afternoon, I was wearing a Lolita dress and I was wearing a raptor mask. And I took that mask off. And no, I took the mask off. I had eyelashes and everything. It was great. I took the mask off and it was just like drenched. And I was like, oh, it was bad. It was
a good way to detox. We should do it.
Right? Yeah.
Other than being in the Sheraton, that's like to segue into like the positive things about Dragon Con generally. That's my big positive. Disability services at Dragon Con is amazing.
Yeah.
It's the same people working there every year pretty much. There may be like a couple of volunteers that are different, but the people that work the main desk, it's the same people. They are so helpful and so nice. Like it was easy for me this year because I knew what to ask for based on having gone previous years. Mm-hmm. But even if you don't know what to ask for, they like go out of their way to like make sure you're comfortable in a chair. They'll talk to you, say like, okay, like what do you need? All right, I'll go talk to this person. We'll get your information all set, whatever. They're so nice. Like I really cannot praise them enough because like I tried to do disability service at San Diego Comic-Con, assuming it would be sort of like Dragon Con. And they were like, you need a doctor's note signed within the past like 30 days saying like what you can't do. And like pretty much it's like, you could be in a wheelchair and go up to their disability services and they still expect you to, I mean, they are.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it, DragonCon does a lot of things right, and they have a lot of great people that work for them every year, and it's for basically nothing, and they show up, they come out, and if you hear about some of these other conventions that just completely bomb, like Galacticon in Seattle this year, and I think that puts a different perspective on DragonCon for all the craziness that goes on. Like, it could go so much worse. With 70,000 people in Atlanta, it's pretty impressive.
And that's, I mean, to be honest, I think that they undercut those numbers every year.
I think so too.
Because like 2 years ago, they said there were only 50,000 people there. I've been to MegaCon where they claimed there were 70,000 people, and it never felt as crowded as DragonCon.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that MegaCon isn't a big convention center, and that makes it different because it's the same way with San Diego, but like, if I'm in a convention center and I'm feeling like more crowd. I don't know. Dragon Con. I think they undercut their numbers.
I think they do partially to keep the fire marshal off their ass.
Yeah.
And also this year on the pro side, like crowd control so much better. Just putting up like those little like lanes in the Marriott where you can go off to the shopping center and then go off to the Hyatt. That was a huge difference. There was a lot more police presence. Do you guys notice that this year?
I didn't like. I noticed there were a lot of police because I haven't gone before, but there were quite a few policemen out on the street whenever I was walking.
My problem is like 90% of my convention this year was spent in the Hyatt and the Marriott. I only went outside this 2 times to go to the Sheraton.
I'm talking about inside the hotels.
Really?
There were Atlanta PD in the hotels all the time, and they were super cool. They were chill.
Yeah.
They were just casually walking around. But it was like enough to be like, okay, if there's anyone who wants to start shenanigans, it's probably not going to happen around these guys. It was nice.
Like they were like, I walked past a couple of them in the hotel that you mentioned it, and they were just standing there talking to a cosplayer. They were drinking, I assume they were having a soda or water or whatever, but they were just chilling out, and it was really nice because like they were there, and it's kind of like a safety thing, but
they weren't intimidating.
They weren't intimidating at all. They were super chill dudes.
I know. I was this close to asking for a picture.
Well, probably they weren't intimidating because none of us are doing anything wrong,
which is good,
right? Oh my gosh! Speaking of the police, though, I don't think you were with us. My friends and I got accosted by this kid clearly trying to sell drugs on Sunday.
Oh my god!
Like he had this like bulletin board, and he was telling us about this app.
Wait, is this the Hugs Not Drugs guy?
No.
Oh, never mind.
No. He had, like,
that would be a brilliant cover, though.
Right?
Yeah, I know,
it was a fold-out bulletin board that he was carrying, and he was like, "Yeah, if you download this app and like you tell me like what numbers," or he had like pins or something on his board.
Those
like,
super sciencey.
You tell me what pin you want, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, clearly you're selling drugs. And my friends and I are like, we're like late 20s, early 30s. Yeah, we're drinking on a Sunday afternoon, but we're not going to buy drugs from you.
Listen,
I seriously was this close to reporting him, and then I got distracted by the Iron Throne.
Shady things. No, I think there's a lot of shady stuff that goes on in Dragon Con that you don't hear about. I think there's probably lots of drugs, sex, and
and people can do whatever they want. Honestly, I don't care as long as it doesn't harm others. It's like
don't ruin the con for everyone else is really what I care about.
It's like this kid like attached himself to one of my friends, and when that kid was like ignoring him, he ran to like another one of my friends who is like a really nice guy, and will talk to basically anybody. It was RJ first.
You're like, no, RJ
was like,
move on.
RJ was like, no.
RJ froze him out?
Yeah.
Wow.
And Brian was like yapping with him, and after the fact, I was like, Brian, he was totally trying to sell us drugs.
I love it when people are oblivious,
I thought there was something weird about that. I mean, he wasn't falling for it. He thought the kid was creepy and like wouldn't leave us alone regardless. But yeah, the drug thing was surprising.
One thing I do love about Dragon Con is meeting special, amazing people. I mean, to continue with the pros theme, like that's one of my favorite things to do. And despite how crazy lines are, I actually really like standing in line because it's like a captive audience, and we all like the same thing. Obviously, we're standing in line for an hour to go look at it. So I like talking and meeting people, and I had 3 rum buckets. I think on Saturday night.
The buckets.
Avoiding the Marriott, I stayed in the Hyatt and had 3 rum buckets and like hit on a lot of girls. And
yes.
And my friend was like, "That dude is trying to pick you up." I'm like, "I don't notice guys trying to pick me up." I was like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah, he hugged you really tight when he wanted your picture." I was like, "Oh, cool. There's a Han gender bend over there. I'll be right back."
I would have been like, don't touch. No.
I don't even notice. Like, I'm here, like, you're cool, you like me. You must like Starbucks.
I mean, the thing is, I don't really notice either half the time. And like, if a guy is hitting on me, a guy is hitting on me, it's whatever. But I am telling you, I'm the same way. I'm like, oh yeah, that person just wanted a picture with me.
Yeah.
They were like hitting on you, And I'm like,
yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have to worry about this con. I just kind of chilled out. Except for that one guy in the mask, and he was like, he like came up to me and he like put his arm around me. He's like, "Hey," and I was like, "No."
That's so weird, man.
They are weird because you can't see their face, and I don't trust them. You can't.
Yeah, masks are weird.
But I mean, generally though, yeah, I've had like negative experiences at Dragon Con involving people doing things they shouldn't and everything, but I think that the con itself handles it well with having a big police presence, having plenty of volunteers, having, you know, I've never felt afraid of like, if something, I've always thought if something goes wrong, I can report it and I'll be, you know, people will listen to me.
Yeah.
That type of thing.
Yeah,
Like,
luckily I've never had a bad experience, and I've like brought strangers back to the room just to like take the shoes off for a little bit, or hit the flask or whatever.
Well,
but I have like lifelong friends out of these relationships. They met someone.
oh, right. And I mean, but if it's somebody,
amazing.
if it's somebody you talk to for hours and you
yeah.
like bring back to the room, that's like absolutely legitimate. I've done that at like almost every con.
or
I've
unless
ever been
it's 4
to.
o'clock in the morning and you just come back from a Mad Max rave. That's not actually a Mad Max rave, and a man follows you up in the elevator and tries to come in your room behind
that's
you.
Not okay.
No,
Yeah, that's definitely not okay.
I was so scared. I was like, my friend told me, she's like, whenever you get Dragon Con, you know, bad things will happen. And not like I worked at a toy store, and more bad things happen to me there than happen to me at Dragon Con. Like, come on, y'all.
Yeah, no, and I avoid the raves. I'm not a very social person. Dragon Con's a place I get to be like Captain Social, but I do like to do parties, just like more like room parties or like.
He wasn't like from the rave. He didn't have a badge. He just was on the elevator.
That happened. Okay. Yeah, to be honest, something like that. I hate talking about these bad things. This has something to do with Dragon Con. Like, it's just Atlanta. Thanks, Atlanta.
Thanks, Atlanta.
It's Atlanta. Oh. But no, last year I was like outside smoking a cigarette really late at night, and I like put my cigarette out, and there was some guy that had kind of been talking to me, and I was being friendly, and he like followed. We were on the third. Yeah, we were on the third floor that year, and he followed me up the stairs to my room, and like I didn't realize he was following me. I just figured he was staying there. Yeah. And then like I heard the stairway door shut again behind me because he was kind of like a flight behind me or something. And I was like, what? And I turn over and he's like walking behind me. I'm like, okay, maybe he's on this floor. I go to my room. I open the door. I let myself into the room, and he like comes into the room behind me.
Oh, yeah.
Before the door. And I had male roommates, and they were like, who are you? Get out of here.
Brian was staying with us, and this guy like knocked on the door, and I was like, it was like a horror movie, so I was like, looking at him through the little glass thing, and I was like,
oh my
God. And Brian was like, what's wrong? And he was like standing at the door. Is everything okay? And I was like, ah! And yeah, it's exactly like that.
I'm telling you, it's Atlanta though. But to be honest, these are funny stories to me.
They are.
I don't even think they're bad things about Dragon Con. They're just like, these are the silly things that happen in Atlanta.
I know I'm due for like a bad experience, but honestly, I've literally had a homeless fan help me to my hotel before. I came up on the wrong side on Marta, and I was looking around kind of confused. I had a Star Trek shirt on. This guy's like, he's in like a dress shirt, sleeves rolled up, and dress pants. You know, he's got a backpack, and he's like, "Hey, you lost?" I said, "I think so." I'm looking for the Marriott. Like, "Oh, I'll walk you over there." And I'm like, "Well, he could be walking into me to my death, or he could be helping me out." I was like, "Why not? I am a second-degree black belt. I could totally take this dude." And
I need you. I need you next year to come with me.
He really walked me all the way to the Marriott, doing Star Trek trivia with me the entire freaking time. We were like grilling each other on Star Trek. And then he's like, "Hey, you know, this is kind of where I give you my spiel. I am kind of looking for a job right now." I gave him like $10. He was the happiest guy ever. And I felt good about it. So thanks, Atlanta.
Well, I mean, I've had the same experience with homeless people in Atlanta, to be honest. The year I stayed like not at a host hotel, there was a guy that like wandered up outside of our hotel, and we had like my friend and I had an entire conversation with him, and it was great. Like, he didn't want anything. He was just kind of chatting with us. Yeah. Like, it was fun. I don't.
The locals love Dragon Con. Like, it seems.
It's kind of like the circus. They're like, circus is exactly. Except not really, because we're not freaks. We're beautiful people.
I did walk across America's Mart, that street, and there was someone like with their hand out the window just filming like the salmon going upstream of all the nerds.
I don't blame them, honestly. If I lived there and this wasn't my thing, I'd be like, to be honest, I'd probably be like, "Ooh, cool."
YouTube gold.
But I mean, and on the term of like positives, like I'm joking around. I'm not hating on Dragon Con. These are like crazy stories I have from the convention.
Yeah.
I don't think they're bad at all. Like the drug selling guy, that wasn't a bad experience. That was kind of funny.
Yeah.
I really only almost reported him because I was like, we may not be stupid enough to fall for this, but like something else. But I mean, in general, does everybody want to, I'll let you guys go first, or Eve, if you want to go first, what's your like most memorable moments from this year's convention?
Oh my God. So I'm part of the Colonial Fleet, and we have like organized stuff like literally all weekend. Like you could fill your weekend with fleet stuff. And on Sunday we had a party at a downtown bar, and we buy the bar out basically. And
yeah, I've been asked to that like 2 out of the past 4 years.
So, okay, I kind of have to back up. So first, earlier that day, I had gone to see Trisha Helfer, and I asked her to pretend to punch me in the face for a picture, and she totally did it, and it was totally amazing, and her skin was so soft, and she smelled so good, and and I ended the whole interaction with like, hey, you should come to our party. You know about our party, right? Like, come to our party. And she's like, yeah, I know about it. So later that night when I'm at the party, and I go back upstairs. You guys hear me?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I go back upstairs and I see like the 7-foot tall Trisha Helfer, because she's so tall. She's taller than everyone else. And so I'm like, oh, she made it. And I go over there to give her a high five. And I'm like, hey, you made it. High five. And then I turn around and there's like literally Truco and Bamber and Callus and Eddie and Grace. They're like all surrounding me because I pushed my way in to give Trisha Helfer a high five. It was a total right place, right time. So that was probably the most memorable part. And then also Felicia Day. Like I got to meet her, and it's kind of a big deal because she's such a self-made woman, and I'm trying to kind of do a similar thing with sitting at my blog and publishing my books. And so I got to talk to her, and she gave me a hug when I told her that she was inspiration. She's such a nice lady. So that was also
yeah,
really
she's
nice.
great. I saw her. I mean, I think I missed her at Dragon Con the last time she was there, but I saw her. I mean, I've seen her at San Diego Comic-Con the past couple of years, and she was on like a Nerd HQ panel I went to this year, and then she also moderated Ali Brosh's panel. You know Ali Brosh, Hyperbole and a Half.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I love her.
Yeah, she's putting out a new book, and like I'm super depressed because after Comic-Con and I saw like when I saw her panel, she was promoting this new book, and I thought it was supposed to come out in October, and then it was pushed back to December, and now it's April next.
Oh,
I'm super sad. But yeah, Felicia Day is like friends with Ali Brosh and also like moderated her panel at Comic-Con.
Oh,
and
nice.
it was so much. I mean, it was so much fun, and she was so fun on the Nerd HQ panel I saw her on. But it's kind of like since I saw her at Comic-Con, I didn't really need to like see her at Dragon Con. But I do want to read her book. Have you read it?
I did, actually. It's somewhere around here. But yeah, it's amazing. It's really, really good. And there's a lot about her success, but also a lot about her self-doubt, which is like huge for me right now because there's a lot of self-doubt when you're trying to start something or even maintaining something. Like she talks about how like it was the hardest for her when everything was going well, like then the pressure's on. So it's super good. I highly recommend it.
Yeah. I want to read it. I have a book pile like this big.
It's a really easy read too, honestly. Like it's so well written and it's so funny that it's just easy to get through.
Yeah,
it's uplifting too.
For me, I think I'd say like did you see the guy that was wandering around with the Iron Throne on a cart?
Yes, I did.
So that's actually
amazing.
He's actually a friend of mine. I met him through another mutual friend, and I had no idea he was doing this. I had no idea he was making this Iron Throne.
Secret cosplay.
Huh?
Secret cosplay.
Yeah, secret cosplay. And I had no idea he was making it, and he showed up at like every year we have like a welcome dinner at Hooters, and it's just like it's my friends and I, but like literally anybody who knows me is welcome to come to it. And it became Hooters by default because the first year was supposed to go somewhere else, and their like stove or their gas line was out.
Oh, no.
Yeah, the gas line was out, so they couldn't cook anything, and Hooters was right across the street. So we're like, yeah, I guess we'll go to Hooters, and then we just kept going there.
Nice.
But so he came to that, and he shows me like on his phone, oh yeah, look, the back of this truck, I brought this Iron Throne, and I was like, what? But I ended up
God
running
bless
into
him for being ambitious enough.
Seriously, like I actually wrote, I did an interview with him for the Geekiary, which was like obviously totally of my own accord. Like I, asked him how he made the throne and everything, and this wasn't something I did as press. This was something I did because I wanted people to recognize like how much hard work he put into that and how much of his convention.
And it was for just other people, right? I mean, he was literally partying this around for other people to take pictures with.
I mean, yeah, and he definitely used it for himself as well. Like he got pictures of Christian Nairn in it because he cosplays Hodor, and he got a picture of Finn Jones who plays Loras Tyrell in it and everything. So he used it for himself too, but it was mostly for other people. And it was just like, there aren't many people out there who would literally give up so much of their convention to just make other people happy.
Yeah, Josh is one of those people.
Yeah, he's the sweetest.
He is a really nice guy.
So between, I would say it was the Iron Throne, and then I'm trying to remember. Oh, I was on a cosplay video. I wish I could give you the link right now. Like maybe I'll post it in the comments later or something. But it wasn't the big one. What's the big one that they do it like? Boogie something. Oh my God, I can't remember. There's one like big cosplay video company that they do like a big video every year. It wasn't that one. It was another random like cosplay video, but I was dressed as Katy Perry, and my friend Brian was dressed as Left Shark.
Nice.
And like so many people took videos of it, and they were like, do something. And I was like, all right. And I would start singing Teenage Dream, and then realize like 3 lines in that I don't know the rest of the words.
No.
So I don't know the words.
Yeah.
Thankfully, the one video I've seen, it was covered with music.
Yeah, because she was like, Teenage Dream and make me snow for
No idea what the words
That's how I would do it too, because I know the complete lyrics to nothing.
You should have done something like Game of Thrones. You should have been like, I'm Katy Perry and this is Jamie Shark. I don't know.
Like, work on it for next year. You've got to put some preparation into this.
Yeah, I know the words to a lot lot of songs, but they're all like
it's not those.
And all that listening that we did in preparation for this.
You asked me to rap "Gangsta's Paradise," and I
oh my god, in the
car probably. I could do that.
But yeah, so I was just excited because I've never been in a cosplay video before. So. And Bekah, let us go. Your biggest
my biggest moment.
Or most memorable moment.
Let's see. I mean, I got a couple. I have two that really stand out to me. Well, we did a pop stars group our Sunday night, and we had Taylor Swift, Katy Perry, Amy Winehouse, Kesha. Anybody else? And me. And I was Meghan Trainor. And this guy was playing the saxophone. He just played the saxophone. That's all he did. He was in a costume and played the saxophone.
Oh my god, I'm sure you saw those guys.
Yeah.
They like tried to serenade each other at some point.
Yeah. They always played the saxophone, and like that was them, the saxophone guys. And so they and I was like, nobody knows who I am. Can you play All About That Bass? This guy played All About That Bass on the saxophone, and I was so thrilled. I was also
only at Dragon Con.
Yeah.
People take requests at Dragon Con. It's amazing.
Yeah, he was really great. And then I think the other one was probably because this is my first big con. I got a chance to meet some of the guys from the 100, and I'm pretty new to that show, and I'm working on an article right now for the Geekiary about how welcoming and how amazing that these guys are. And the panel was incredible. They were hysterical. Richard Harmon is Richard Harmon is magical. And like you were saying about, he smelled nice and he has soft hands, whatever.
It's like a common thing with celebrities.
Yeah. He was
celebrity boot camp where they have to smell nice at all times and have soft skin.
Yeah, he was so nice. And then Christopher Larkin was just a dream. He was the sweetest guy. And he still has a flip phone, which I find adorable. He brought it out. He's like, "You got a sucky phone? Look at this." A flip phone. And then
drug dealers. Did you tell him that?
Yeah. No, I didn't. But he's a sweetie. And then I didn't get a chance to meet Ricky Whittle, but he was just like the care that he showed each fan, and I think that's really important for a lot. And of course, most of the people at Dragon Con, from what I understand, most of the celebrities were really welcoming. But just the 100 guys, meeting them, seeing their panel, taking photos with them afterwards. They were just, you know, like they were. And also met Finn Jones. He was a darling, and he was cute. He was because I was like standing off to the side, and I was like, I can't afford a picture right now. I'm sorry. And because I was like, I'm saving up my money for Richard Harmon. Like, I didn't want to say that, but he was like, so he's like talked to me for a second, and then he like jerked the camera out of my hands, and he was like, selfie, and I was like, ah! But they seriously were the nicest guys. They were incredible and so accommodating and so warm and so friendly. And I think that a lot of that gets lost now, and so it's really nice.
Yeah, you don't get that sort of one-on-one stuff at Comic-Con. Like we went up to Christian Nair and Hodor's table. It was like 6 of us, and we were like, hey, we're in these anime basketball
uniforms.
They were in basketball. Will you hold this basketball for us and take a picture with us? He was like, yeah, sure, whatever. I talked to Richard Harmon. I talked to Richard Hatch for like 20 minutes.
Richard Harris, Dan Harmon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some guy. Yeah. I talked to Richard Hatch for like 20 minutes, and then who's the other one? Oh, I mean, I was in the Katie Cassidy press conference, and that was cool, especially because she like stayed after and like chatted with everybody for a couple of minutes, like one-on-one, considering it was a press conference, she didn't have to do that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then I also interviewed Dino Gorman, and like, to be honest, there was another girl from the Geekiary who was supposed to be at Dragon Con and had like a family issue and couldn't make it, and she didn't know until a couple weeks before. So Dino Gorman was her interview. And I had to take it on, and I'm like, dude, I'm sorry. The only thing I know you from is The Hobbit. I've got some questions that I gathered from, I told him, like, I've got some questions I gathered from my friends, you know, like, but he talked with me for, like, we did, like, the interview. They give you, like, 10 or 15 minutes, and then afterward, he, like, hung out in the room and talked to me for, like, 10 minutes about my costume.
He has a totally different atmosphere for the guests. It seems like they get, like, a little note that says it's totally okay to be cool with the fans.
And because,
like, they're going to be like, get away.
The only time that's a problem is when certain celebrities stay out too late the night before and don't show up for their 9 a.m. interviews.
Yeah, the panels are also fun when they do show up and they look really rough. Like, God bless Aaron Douglas. I guess he had an after party after the party.
He was at like the 2:30 p.m. panel on Friday, and he was like, Aaron Douglas from Battlestar Galactica. The 2:30 p.m. panel on Friday, he was like rough. Like, I'm not sure he was sober, to be completely
he was on Sunday, and he seemed to drink, you know, normal, but I guess his after party went on to like 4 or 5 in the morning, and he had
trust me,
Monday morning.
I do not blame him at all. Like, I mean, even at Comic-Con where these people are like professionally there, I did an interview with Dan Harmon and Justin Goylan, who do Rick and Morty, and they walked into the room with glasses that had clearly had liquor on ice in them, and somebody pulled a bottle of bourbon and a bottle of whiskey, maybe bourbon or whiskey, out of a bag, and a bottle of vodka, poured straight vodka and straight, you know, bourbon or whiskey into these cups.
Sorry, Marmalade.
And like, they were just sitting there drinking it.
Wow.
And they had a panel. Right after this interview. And they went to this Comic-Con panel where they're like legitimately working, not Dragon Con. Like, Comic-Con is all about like pushing yourself. Like, and they were I have nothing against that, dude. Have fun. I'm glad Aaron. I'm glad Aaron Douglas got wasted on Thursday night.
And I love it what they do. It's like, that's why they should come to Dragon Con and be like, oh yeah, that's a con where I get to get wasted and like all the fans.
Yeah, because Dino Gorman was out. I saw him chilling out, and I walked past, and he was like, and I was like, oh, and because I didn't even know who he was, and somebody's like, that's the guy from The Hobbit, and I was like, and then of course, and then Finn Jones was singing and dancing to the Beastie Boys in an elevator at the Marriott, apparently, and then Ricky and Richard Harmon were on Periscope, you know, filming the Mad Max raid.
Dragon Con is great for that.
The Lost Girl panel, Rachel and Paul Amos, they were toast. Like, when they showed up, like, he had a hat on, he was doing like the bend of shame, like I can't remember what they were asked, but they're like, whatever anyone tells you, we were in bed early last night.
Oh my gosh.
I wish I had seen that.
I mean, literally, I'm not going to name names, but my 9 a.m. interview on Sunday, I wish I just hadn't gotten on a bid for it because this person didn't show up. And somebody, like, the press girl literally was like, well, guess he partied too hard last night.
Oh,
I was like,
But
I mean, let's be honest. Like, then why the hell is media relations scheduling a 9 a.m. Come on, it's
we
not
should
even
know
time.
better
Nobody
by
wants to
now.
get-
And you should be able to knock on their door and be like, let me in.
Excuse me.
I went to bed early on Saturday night, and by early I mean like 1 a.m. after drinking for about 14 hours straight. So, like, waking up at 8 o'clock on Sunday morning, I was like, my alarm went off. I was like, 15 more minutes. Ah, crap. I could get up and put on clothes, and I didn't shower. Like,
Gross.
no, I wore regular clothes to both of my, I wore regular clothes to the Katie Cassidy press conference and to that 9 a.m. interview that was, that he didn't show up. And then I wore my Katy Perry like dress from the Super Bowl last year, but no wig, to the Dino Gorman interview. He's like, so what is this wearing? Is this you or is this a costume? And I was like,
Oh, shit.
well, did you watch the Super Bowl? He's like, we don't really watch football in New Zealand. I was like, and then the press girl that was there was like, oh, yeah. So there was this thing. It was Katy Perry. You have a left shark, right? I was like, yes, I do.
Yeah, there were two left sharks, actually. There's one that was with no Katy Perry.
Wait a minute.
So
Could we be both left sharks at that point?
you can be left shark and right shark. You can just like...
Right shark knows how to dance.
Left shark.
But anyway, as we wrap this up, so are you planning on going back to Dragon Con next year, Eve?
Oh, yeah, the tickets purchased. Get them now because they're already $80.
Yeah.
They hiked it.
Yeah, I'm not, I'm going to go as press probably next year, if anything. So
Maybe I should try that next year.
You
or
should.
2017 when the blog's like really big.
I mean, like my first year that I applied, they accepted me. They probably wouldn't accept multiple people from a small website, but one person. And when I say small, I mean like not, tens of thousands of hits a month or whatever. Like, yeah. But they may accept one. The only thing is like your first year, unless you're with a big outlet like Mary Sue or like one of the news, one of the news outlets or something, you're not going to get interview capability, because I didn't have it my first year as press. But to be honest, I don't like, even if I go as press next year, I'm not sure how keen I am on being like I'm
up at 9 a.m.
for a bunch of interviews. Yeah, because I had 4 scheduled and only 2 of them actually happened.
Oh.
And none of it was because of me. I mean, I'm not complaining except for getting up early that one morning, because the second one that was canceled, they canceled like an hour before, and I was like, oh, good, I can drink now. Also, I was wearing a basketball anime outfit.
With a wig.
I was just like a boy, so it was kind of like, this is gonna be fun meeting this person. But I mean, so are you doing? The hotels next year are going to be such a mess, because like the Westin has already opened up and sold out of their first block of rooms. The Hilton is gone.
It's always gone.
Yeah, the Hyatt did the grandfather clause this year, so they're going to be gone for the most part.
I know. I got really close to getting a guaranteed room because my friend was able to get them to agree to give him 2 rooms for next year, and I guess someone noticed a clerical error and told him no, like a few weeks later. And I got my hopes all up. So I will be in the rat race with everyone else. And barring that, there's always Rackface that opens up closer to the con.
Yeah. That's the one thing. I mean, to be honest, I was looking for roommates like 2 weeks when the one girl from the Geekiary who was supposed to go, who had to back out, I was looking for a roommate literally 2 weeks before the convention this year.
Yeah. The only bummer about doing it that way is like the established friends that I like to room with, like if we can't get one room, then we can't stay together, and that's kind of a bummer. We have to kind of
we were all really split up here, but I think mostly the Marriott and the Hyatt. There were a couple of people from Ice and Fire that stayed in the Westin. Most of us were in
I don't know how I feel about the grandfather thing. Like, if I am grandfathered, I'm probably going to love it. But since I'm not, I'm kind of like, that's some bullshit.
To be honest, I love it. And I'm also nervous as hell. Like, until that deposit comes out of until that deposit is charged to my credit card, I'm going to be nervous as shit. I gotta be honest. Like, and that's not for another week and a half. But I mean, they also are going to I think they're going to give time for people to kind of be like, hey, why, what happened here? Why didn't you charge me? Why is my room canceled.
It's always a bit of a cluster, as we know, but we all sign up for the pain every year.
Well, and passkey, I mean, I get the
Conventional masochist.
Yes.
passkey is the worst, but to be honest, like I really wish that Dragon Con would work with every hotel in the area. Because like I know you're on Reddit a good amount, and the Dragon Con subreddit, like some of the things they were saying is like the Aloft is like, okay,
Yeah.
1 minute they're taking reservations and they only want one night's deposit. Then the next minute they want like the entire thing paid up front.
Crazy.
Well, and my friend she actually ended up booking a room just in case at the Ellis, and they only made her pay like one night's deposit, but they wouldn't give her the con right.
Yeah.
Because it was like, that's not live yet. You're going to have to call back later and ask for it. And it's like...
The 1 year that I tried to get the Marriott, so Marriott's not passkey anymore. It's through Marriott, which I was super excited about because I travel a lot for business. I had gotten a gold membership that year that I was trying to get it. And it worked so well. It sold out so freaking fast that like I literally put in my information. I was signed into the account. It has all my payment information. I was like, this is gonna be gravy. I'm definitely getting a hotel room this year. I see double bed. I click yes, that's what I want. Sold out. I'm like, how is this possible? This is literally 5 seconds in.
With the Marriott for last year, when it was for this year, I was with somebody who like we were in the same room with the same internet, and I'm on my computer and he's on his computer on the same effing internet connection. Everything's working just fine for both of us. He gets a room, I don't. At the same exact moment.
It was weird. And then they kept releasing them in waves. Like you'd hear, oh, someone got it, or like half an hour later they'd be like, there's rooms, go get it. Because you know Reddit is the place to be. To like people will early warning sign you and kind of be like, okay, I'm do it now.
I mean, I'm a huge I don't like Reddit, but the Dragon Con Reddit is awesome.
Reddit is great if you stay in the subreddits, like the nice, happy communities, like our actual lesbians is an amazing community, and Dragon Con is PSG. Yeah, like stay in the subreddits. Don't go in the big ones, the big scary ones.
See, my problem is I'm like a mod of a local subreddit, and it's the worst. Which you wouldn't think because it's a really small sub. But like the people that are in this sub are horrible, and it's like. This is making no, the Bernie Sanders people I don't care about. Like, I mean, they were posting a little bit too much, but it was the people who were complaining about the Bernie Sanders people.
That's what I meant, the Bernie Sanders complainers.
Oh, the irony. Reddit, you just don't even understand.
Yeah, offshoot of that. But yes, so I'm part of this really small subreddit that's absolutely horrible. So that's why I look at the Dragon Con one and I'm like, this is well run. Well organized. They've got
people are nice.
They've got their main posts. People are nice. Like people get snarky sometimes, but I don't ever feel like it's rude or out of line. Like I can post a link to an article I wrote in there and not feel like I'm just going to get downvoted because people are assholes.
Same. And I definitely have been a little bit more active on Reddit with trying to get interest in some of the things I'm doing. So it's so bizarre, the rules on Reddit, because it's all different depending on where you're at. And like one subreddit won't let you do just images, and some won't let you do images at all, and it's just weird.
But yeah, the Dragon Con one is good. They really are. Yeah. Well, to wrap this up, because we're like already a few minutes over time. Well, I guess not, because we didn't start until later. Yeah. But to wrap this up, upcoming conventions or anything? Are you going to anytime soon, Eve?
I am completely spoiled by Dragon Con. I tried to go to Mega once after I experienced what is Dragon Con. I was like,
that the year I met you?
Yes, that's when I ran you down. So that was one good thing that came out of Mega. But for the most part, I felt too sober all the time, and there was only just things to buy, and I'm not really super into like, even at Dragon Con, I don't really buy anything unless it's something that's super unique. So I hoard all my money for Dragon Con.
Yeah, no, I've been to MegaCon twice, and it was that horrible. The second time actually was worse because the couple panels I tried to go to that were like writing panels or whatever were in these like cramped ass rooms, and if you didn't get there 30 minutes before for this little writing panel, nobody famous is on it, you weren't getting a seat, there's no air conditioning, you're like lucky if you get into the room to hear them at all. And then last year I tried to go to the Walking Dead panel, and the volunteers, I lined up 2 hours before. The The volunteers counted off the line not long after I got in it. I was like in the top 500, and they were like, yeah, this room holds 1,500 people. We're clearing it before the panel, so you'll be fine. Yeah. The panel before ended, they were letting, like, people were leaving the room and then turning around and going right back in the other door.
Oh.
And then the line had, like, the line of people had wrapped back around to its beginning, and they were letting in the people at the end and the people at the beginning at the same time. And I was like 30 people from getting into that room, and I was like, I hate this convention.
Yeah, no, I didn't even try to get into panels there. I met Michael Hogan there, which was amazing.
Yeah,
He
me
was so
too.
cool. He was so cool. That was the highlight, meeting you and Michael Hogan. That was the highlight of my MegaCon. and I live in Florida, so it's really easy for me to get over there, but it's just not, it doesn't have a lot for me, so.
Yeah.
What about you guys?
Well, we have Walker Stalker Con, which is happening over Halloween.
Nice.
I'm meh about it, to be honest. I like Walking Dead, but
I kind of like absorbed Tara's. Because I'm really excited because it's gonna be so unrelated.
I just like anything with Halloween. It's like embrace the Halloweenness.
I'm excited about the Halloween part of it.
Yeah,
but Walker Stalker Con has become like really corporate. It's like worse than Wizard World.
Mm.
Like, I went to their first convention ever, and then I went to the one they had in Atlanta last year, and the differences between those two were palpable. But this one, like, it's like $99 to get in for the weekend. So it's $100 to get in for the weekend. And then if you want to go to the Andrew Lincoln panel on Sunday, you have to pay another $25.
That is what I call BS on. Like, if
I don't like him
that I already paid to get into your convention, I'm already out. Like the whole VIP pass, or like, I looked into going to like a Supernatural convention because I love Supernatural so much, and I want to go to Canada because why not? And like their pricing structure was so bizarre. It was like bronze, silver, gold package, and I was like, this is bullshit. I don't pay this much for
Walker
Dragon
Stalker
Con.
Con has definitely taken a page out of their book. But so yeah, we have Walker Stalker Con, and then it's kind of like a long break because there's like no conventions that happen in between November and February. But one thing, I don't know.
Okay.
One thing I want to plug is Ice and Fire Con tickets are on sale. Yay! So if you read Song of Ice and Fire, like especially, or watch Game of Thrones, but like we are a much more like Song of Ice and Fire like book focused convention.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of like book cosplays.
Although I have to say I haven't read the books. I'm working on them still very slowly. But I'm a show watcher, very baby new show watcher, and I went and I had the time of my life. Like Ice and Fire Con is incredible. Tara's incredible.
Everything about a Game of Thrones convention just makes me think people are gonna get stabbed and poisoned. And
no, well, I mean, stabbed was fun. Stabbed was fun.
To be honest, like one person ran an assassin, like an unauthorized. By the way, I mean it was authorized in that we were like, yeah, you can do this, but we're not like gonna say this is part of the schedule.
I still have the snake in my makeup bag.
And he gave everybody that signed up plastic snakes. Olaf stickers for some reason.
Yeah, frozen stickers. And what else was it?
I don't remember.
Oh,
a spoon.
A plastic
so you
spoon.
could stab somebody with a plastic spoon.
And say Palamagulis.
Or you could put a sticker on their drink, and if they drank out of it, then they were poisoned. Or you could put like a snake somewhere, and they would be bitten. Yeah, yeah, it was.
That's exactly the kind of shenanigans I would expect.
It was great though. It just literally should be Ice and Fire Shenanigans Con. Yeah. It's
camp.
It's camp. It is. It's a grown-up camp for people who love Ice and Fire.
I love it. I don't know why, but
our tickets are on sale. It's iceandfirecon.com. Please don't click on the tickets link on the main page. It's actually the shop link in the menu bar that you want to click on. They are $50 each. And once you purchase the ticket, you'll get information on how to book a room. We have plenty of accommodations left this year.
You guys changed? Did you change location?
Oh yeah, we changed location. We used to be in Ohio, and now we're in Virginia. So it's a bigger location, whatever. But so yeah, other than Ice and Fire Con and I mean, I'm going to C2E too, but that's like whatever.
What is that? I know I'm a horrible person now.
Chicago convention.
Chicago.
It's sort of like it's like New York Comic Con or San Diego, where it's a little bit more industry focused in terms of the programming and everything. But anyway, so that's about it. I guess in that case we can sign off. I am Tara. I am here with Bekah. Stephanie of the Makeup Mama Cosplay was with us earlier, and Eve from, is it somenerdgirl.wordpress.com?
Yes, that's the good stuff.
Okay. And I've actually, I co-wrote one article for that, and I'll be writing a couple more as well. You guys should check it out. They've got a great article about Ellen Ripley up. As well as the Dragon Con. Somebody else did a Dragon Con wrap-up article that was really good. And we've got some web comics and stuff that are on there that are really fun. Yeah. So check out somenerdgirl.wordpress.com. And as always, if you guys need anything or have any questions, you can email us at thegeekiary@gmail.com. And other than that, have a wonderful evening, and thank you for joining our Dragon Con webcast.
Cool.